Rome had sewers, public baths, aqueducts, and toilets. So why were Romans still full of parasites? That is the uncomfortable truth beneath one of history's most impressive civilizations. Rome looked clean. Its fountains ran with fresh water. Its bathhouses steamed with marble and ritual. Its drains carried waste beneath the streets and out of sight. But looking clean is not the same as being safe. Beneath the Roman Forum, under the columns, temples, courts, and triumphal arches, another city was always moving in darkness. Rainwater, bathwater, human waste, insects, contaminated runoff, everything Rome wanted to remove but could not truly make harmless. At the center of this hidden Rome was the Cloaca Maxima, the great drain beneath the city. For centuries, it has been remembered as proof of Roman genius, and in many ways it was. It helped drain the marshy land near the Forum. It helped make Rome's political and religious heart possible. It carried water and waste beneath the streets, but it did not save Rome from disease. It helped the city function. It helped power look clean from above. And that difference shaped the lives of millions. Imagine Rome before sunrise. The city is already awake. Bakers are working before the heat arrives. Animals move through narrow streets. Wheels scrape against stone. A woman sends a child to fetch water from a public fountain. A man empties a chamber pot with the impatience of someone late for work. In a public latrine, men sit side by side above a channel of moving waste, talking as if nothing about this is strange, because to them, nothing is. A slave cleans. A bath attendant prepares rooms that will soon fill with oil, sweat, steam, conversation, and bodies. Somewhere below, water moves through drains toward the Tiber. From a distance, it looks like a civilization that had solved the problem. Water came in. Waste went out. But Rome's tragedy was that the problem was never only filth. It was contact. It was return. It was the invisible journey from body to waste, from waste to soil, from soil to food, from hand to mouth, from one crowded room to another. The Romans understood bad smells. They understood stagnant water. They understood that some places felt unhealthy, but they could not see the small living things moving through feces, food, insects, water, hair, bedding, and skin. So they fought the enemy they could notice: mud, flooding, odor, and waste in the open street. They did not fully break the enemy they could not see. The evidence for this hidden world does not come from marble inscriptions or imperial speeches. It comes from latrine sediments, mineralized feces, soil samples, combs, textiles, and the quiet debris of ordinary life. Across the Roman world, researchers have found signs of intestinal parasites like roundworm and whipworm, along with lice, fleas, bedbugs, and organisms linked to dysentery. In some Roman sites, parasite eggs survived in ancient toilet deposits long after the people who carried them disappeared. In others, combs and hair remains show how close infestation stayed to the body, even in a culture that valued bathing. These traces are not dramatic like a battlefield. They belong to stomach pain, itching skin, dirty bedding, weak children, exhausted mothers, workers who could not afford rest, soldiers scratching under armor, and families who lived close to waste because the city's grand systems did not protect everyone equally. The Romans built beautifully, but disease moved through habits. The bathhouse is the perfect example. To a Roman, a public bath was not just a place to wash. It was where the city became social. Men met friends there. Deals were made there. Bodies were scraped with strigils. Oil was rubbed into skin. Steam opened the pores. Cold pools shocked the body awake. The rooms were warm, alive, and full of status. Marble made the experience feel civilized. But a bath could make a man smell cleaner while still bringing bodies, tools, towels, sweat, hair, insects, and imperfectly refreshed water into the same shared world. Cleanliness in Rome was often something you could feel on the skin. Disease was something deeper, moving where feeling could not reach. The latrines tell the same story with less elegance. A row of stone seats above flowing water looks orderly. Compared with waste thrown into the street, it was orderly. But sit enough people together, give them shared spaces, shared surfaces, limited hand hygiene, and cleaning habits that were nothing like our own, and the system becomes a negotiation with danger. Someone had to keep these places usable. Someone had to scrape, rinse, carry, unclog, and stand close to what others wanted removed. Rome's sanitation did not only depend on stone channels and flowing water. It depended on human labor, often the labor of people with the least power to escape the risks. The cleaner, the slave, the waste collector, the person sent to deal with what respectable citizens preferred not to see. Public health has always had hands, and very often, Those hands belonged to people history barely names. Waste left the seat, but it did not leave the world. Human waste could be collected and used as fertilizer. That helped crops grow. It may also have helped parasite eggs find their way back into the food supply. Roundworm and whipworm do not need an empire to be dirty. They only need a circle that remains unbroken. Body, waste, soil, crop, mouth, body, again. Rome did not eliminate that circle. It organized it. In some places, it may even have widened it by connecting more people, more farms, more markets, and more habits into one imperial system. That is where Rome becomes more than a story about drains. It becomes a story about empire. Roads connected provinces. Ships moved grain, oil, wine, fish sauce, animals, soldiers, slaves, merchants, and officials across enormous distances. A port city could feed the capital. A frontier fort could receive goods from far away. A taste acquired in one province could spread across the empire. But connection is never innocent. The same networks that carry wealth can carry risk. The same roads that move legions can move lice. The same ships that bring food can bring insects, contaminated goods, and bodies already carrying illness. Rome made the world smaller, and disease always benefits when distance shrinks. Still, it would be wrong to laugh at Roman sanitation as if it were foolish. It was not foolish. It was practical, ambitious, and often brilliant. Sewers drained low ground. Aqueducts brought water into cities. Fountains made water available. Baths gave people a shared culture of washing. Latrines organized what might otherwise have filled streets and alleys. Without these systems, Roman cities would have been harder to live in and harder to govern. The point is more uncomfortable. Roman engineering succeeded enough to create confidence, but not enough to create true safety. It made the city work while leaving many bodies exposed. A wealthy Roman might step from a clean-looking bath into a home with better space, better servants, and better access to water. A poor family in a crowded apartment block had a different Rome. Their world was hotter, tighter, smellier, more vulnerable. If waste backed up, they felt it first. If insects spread, they lived closer to them. If food was contaminated, they had fewer choices. If sickness came, they had less room to separate, less money to stop working, and less power to demand repair. Public health always reveals class, even when no one calls it public health. Rome's sewers did not fail everyone equally. They protected some spaces better than others. They made parts of the city presentable while danger continued in the places power preferred not to see. The Cloaca Maxima was real. The baths were real. The aqueducts were real. But so were the parasites. So were the crowded rooms, the shared tools, the contaminated soil, and the river receiving what the city wanted gone. Rome could move waste out of the Forum, but the question remained, away to where? Into the Tiber? Into fields? Into neighborhoods downstream? Into the hands of workers who cleaned what others refused to touch? Every sanitation system answers that question, whether honestly or not. Away is not a place. Away is often someone else's problem. And when waste becomes someone else's problem, disease eventually finds its way back. Rome did not fall because of sewers, and no serious history should pretend that it did. Empires fall through many pressures: politics, war, money, climate, labor, migration, violence, and time. But disease lived inside those pressures. It weakened bodies. It followed armies. It traveled with trade. It punished crowding. It exposed inequality. It reminded Rome that an empire could command provinces and still fail to command the invisible life moving through its people. By evening, imagine the Forum cooling after heat. The public spaces empty slowly. The baths release their last visitors. The fountains keep running. Somewhere, water disappears into the dark mouth of a drain. Above ground, Rome still looks like order. Below ground, the city carries on with its private work, moving away what no one wants to name. But not everything that disappears is gone. Some dangers return through food, through insects, through hands, through poverty, through habits repeated so often they feel harmless. That is the lesson Rome left beneath its streets. Public health is not the beauty of the system. It is whether the chain of danger has actually been broken. So the next time you see Roman arches, aqueducts, baths, and marble ruins, look lower. Look beneath the stones. Look where the water went after the city was finished with it. Then ask the question Rome never fully answered. When filth disappears from view, does the danger disappear with it? Subscribe and follow the Epidemic Archive deeper. The next city may have buried its danger even better. And tell me in the comments, which ancient public health system should we uncover next?